Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Labor Matters, a KBN TV and Mr. Owen Katongo Kabanda's program, which brings to you various interesting topics to do with employment. I am your host, as usual, Patricia Chilemko, and today we're looking at an interesting topic. I believe we've had some questions. We've always wanted to know more about who Mr. Owen Katongo Kabanda is. So today it is that day where we get to know more about Mr. Owen Katongo Kabanda. Welcome to Labor Matters.
Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm okay. How are you doing?
Very, very fine.
Amazing. So today it is an amazing day because we're not talking about labor laws like always. Like always.
Subsection.
No. Today we're not talking about that. We want to talk to you and know more about you, our employment expert, as we always call you, and a neuropsychologist. We just want to know more about who Mr. Owen Katongo Kabanda is, where he did his primary, probably his university from. That is what we want to learn about today. And we have seen and received feedback from those who you have been inspiring by doing what you've been doing right here on Labor Matters. And we thought, why not dedicate this program today to get to learn more about you. And we do strongly believe that by sharing your journey, you may assist young people in their education as well as employment and managers as they navigate through the journey of their careers. Mr. Kabanda, thank you very much for making time right now so that you can get to tell us more about you.
Thank you so much, and looking forward to a fruitful conversation.
Amazing. I must make mention that we did go through your LinkedIn profile where we have seen that you have over 34,000 followers worldwide. Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And we also went through to your TikTok, YouTube, and other social media platforms. I can safely say you are doing amazing on all your social media platforms, and you have a huge following.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and really greatly appreciate all those people that have been following us. It's always very satisfying to really interact with the people, share knowledge, but also answer various questions. Sometimes we receive a lot of questions that we didn't even think of. So it's a great thing. And for those who are still not yet following us, they are free to just follow us on all the social media platforms.
Amazing. So before we get to know who Mr. Kabanda is now, please allow us to maybe ask about your childhood. Did you grow up in town, wearing suits? Because I believe a lot of viewers out there have been asking themselves some questions. Mr. Kabanda is always in suits. So today I decided not to wear a suit. Because today is all about Mr. Kabanda. So please take us through. Did you just grow up loving wearing suits?
No. This is just for work. So basically I grew up in the village. I was born in Mukosa village. Which is found in the northern province of Zambia, in Mongwe district, and Chifu Chitimukuru. So growing up there, really, I have like a family. My father and mother, they are still there. My father is now 80 years.
Amazing.
My mother is 75 years, and they've been married for over 50 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's where my family is, in Mukosa. And I was born in a family of 9, so that is like 7 sisters and 2 brothers. The firstborn died in 1996. That was Maureen, and left us with a beautiful daughter. We call her Maureen. That's the one now I also call my firstborn daughter. Then I have my sister Evelyn, Gertrude, my brother Martin, my sister Pamela, Patricia, Carol, then myself, number 8, and the last one, Lydia. So it was this family that I grew up with, and it was on a farm. But growing up those days, it was not just that nuclear family, so to say. We also had other family members who would stay with us. So it used to be like a huge village within the farm. So you have one big pot, and you share. You share food like that, and just do the work together on the farms and things like that.
Amazing. I believe we'll learn a lot, we'll know a lot about who Mr. Kabanda is. So to our viewers, if you have any questions and or contributions today as we get to profile Mr. Owen Katongo Kabanda, please use the number to write on your TV screen and get to send us those text messages. You can also go on our Facebook page, which is KBN TV, and get to drop us those comments. Now, Mr. Kabanda, where did you go for your primary and secondary school?
For primary school, I went to Mukosa Primary School. So this was the nearest school in our place. Oh, by the way, Mukosa means being strong. So it used to be nice. And I tell people sometimes even during trainings, in grade 1 when we were starting off, there was nothing like using books. Basically, I started learning how to write on the floor, that's on the sand. So that's where you write your word, your A, B, and the teacher, Mrs. Mirambo, may her soul rest in peace. She would come.
You still remember
I still remember
the
her. I still remember her. She was an incredible woman. She was very patient with us, and we were learning. It was nice. So from writing on there in the sand, then we now started using those, they used to call them slates, or macerati, and you make a box. So it's a green, it's like made from the board. So you use a chalk and you start, so when you write, then the teacher will come and rub and mark on there, just like that. So until we then graduated to using books and things like that. I know when I tell people these stories, even during some workshops, and people say, yeah, motivational speaker. No, I'm not doing motivational speaking. That is the way we started. So it was an amazing journey. Primary school in Mukosa was great. My father was a deputy head, and my mother was also a teacher. And so they demanded a lot from us, the children, to really perform very well. And every time you go around, play around, they will give you books to read. So they encouraged us really to study a lot, and made us to believe that through education, we could make something out of our lives. So that was my primary school. And when I finished, I wrote in 1997. That's a long time.
Wow.
I went to St. Francis Secondary School, which is also in Northern Province. St. Francis Secondary School is also called Malole, the place where it's well known for trumpets. So secondary school, I went there in 1998. That was when I started grade 8. We have our group, we finished in 2002. I have a lot of my friends from St. Francis, Malole. Again, that time, it used to be a great time. When I joined, one of the things that used to happen during that time was really our parents encouraging us to really remain focused and again studying hard. I was coming from the background, like I said, I grew up in the village in Mukosa. So sometimes even speaking English, we were not speaking English, we were speaking our local language, Pemba. So being in secondary school, now you are required to actually speak English. Through reading, I knew a lot, but speaking was a big challenge. So this is just to encourage those who might be having difficult backgrounds that you can still do it. Even now, sometimes I struggle with certain words, but I care less, because English is just a language, like any other language. So the key issue is really for you to know what you want to do at the end of the day. So at St. Francis, they helped me they forced us really to speak English. I remember one time making a huge mistake about kitchen and chicken, and that thing haunted me for a long time, because at the village we call it kitchen, chicken. Yeah. We never bothered to know what's really the difference. So that was my secondary school days. I used to be in boarding sometimes, and sometimes I was basically just in day school when my parents could not raise enough money. Because as I said, my parents were supporting a lot of people, and there will be times when we didn't have enough money. So we'll get, sometimes my mom will brew some beers, and then we have Chambeshi River there where we would go, and then we'll sell the beers and get the fish, because the fish would then come and sell at a higher price. And that's the way we actually learned how to do business and trading. And then we can pay for some school fees, but also sometimes we sell oranges. Sometimes my father will get one of the bulls, take to the school, and that was used as payment for school. So it used to be like that. But at the end of the day, what we were told, all of us as children, was just to remain focused and do our level best. So that's what I can say about my secondary school journey. But it was an amazing place with great teachers. Our teachers at St. Francis, they were, even now I know they are very passionate about what they do and really help a lot of children. And it's one of the best schools actually in Zambia.
So according to your explanation, are you trying to tell us that you came to Lusaka to pursue your tertiary education?
Yeah, coming to Lusaka, I didn't come to Lusaka before. So I only, when I finished, the first time I came to Lusaka was in 2000, but that was for my medicals. And it was just, you come in and you go out. So when I actually came to Lusaka was in 2003, after I finished school. So it was a new experience. I'm coming from a place where we didn't have electricity, maybe the cars will pass there. Of course, things have changed over the years, and now you have dirt roads passing nearby, but in those days, we didn't have any of those things. So you come to the city, it's busy, with a lot of people. It used to be a challenging thing for me to adjust. I used to stay in Kabanana site and service at my cousin's place, Bana Colin, and the husband. They really kept me well. And that was actually the time, as I was waiting to go into the university, that was the time I even started doing a job, as a shopkeeper. So that place in Kabanana, I know it very well. And sometimes used to move from Kabanana, come to Chipata, because we have to now order some things to take into the shop. Even those at Mabanzi. Yeah, I've been through that. So for me, every aspect of my life, I consider it to have been important, and it has helped me to also be grounded and to see things from basic lenses. Actually learned how to do much of the businesses in terms of those trading things in that shop in Kabanana.
So you did your tertiary at the University of Zambia, right?
Yeah.
So what exactly did you study, and in which year was it?
Yeah, so when I finished grade 12, and then I came to Lusaka, I went to the University of Zambia in 2004. So I was at the university doing my first degree from 2004 to 2008. So that time was the time that I got actually also the sponsorship from the government. We had applied. We were the first group actually where the bursary thing changed. So it changed from bursary into loans, and I remember we were signing forms. We didn't know better. We were just okay. We have loans, but it was very difficult. I remember running up and down with my father in the village, going back to Kasama to try and get the necessary forms just to support me to get into the university with the school sponsorship. But I'm greatly humbled, and I appreciate the support that the government and the people of Zambia, because the money comes from the people of Zambia that sponsored my education. So I went to study public. It was the degree itself is Bachelor of Arts, but I specialized. I majored in public administration and a minor in psychology. Yeah, so that is what I studied at the University of Zambia in my first degree.
Amazing. So I'm now wondering, how was it for you as a village person? Yeah. How was it to adjust, life in campus in particular, because a lot of things usually happen in campus, and then you just came from the village and you're at the University of Zambia. How was the experience?
Really, the experience was, I don't know how I can even call it. At first, it was very confusing for me, coming from the village. I am in that space where you are feeling that you don't belong here. You have these students who are coming in, some they are looking very nice, others are being dropped by their well-to-do parents and things like that. But I remember one of the lecturers saying, and also it was also on the issue of the marks, because you go into the university, there is a lot of competition. I remember one of the lecturers saying, look, whatever you had from secondary school,
Yeah.
forget about that. It is about the marks or the points you're going to make at the university. And that for me was very important, just those few words, because I used to look at the people that were there, some with flying colors, but when I heard that, then I knew that regardless of where I came from, I just needed to study hard and apply myself. The issue of not having things that I would have loved to have, it was always going to be there because I wasn't coming from a well-to-do family. Even at secondary school, there were times that I didn't have everything. I would go, Ziwaya, you roast the maize, and I would exchange with the guys who were coming from town to also get some jam or some drink. And also, I used to have groundnuts from the farm, and I would go and exchange. So now coming into Lusaka, we are in the university, now I don't have access to those things. So also looking at the colleagues who were well-to-do, it wasn't an easy thing. But again, it was about knowing that I am here in the first place because I managed to get the points I managed to get, and I deserve to be here, so I just need to start applying myself. But those moments can be very challenging for a student, and that's why sometimes people end up doing wrong things. But what I used to do now to try and survive and also try and make some money, start doing a bit of small businesses here and there. I remember we used to run with those, I don't remember if they were Unza Blues those days. They will come, that's the security, because they used to check in the rooms. So with my friends, when Mlenga, sometimes we've got a fridge, and we'll put the tuma chickens in there and we'll sell. I also, when my mom got a pension, I remember she gave me 1,500. That money was a lot of money by then, but what I did with it was to actually, there was an association, and I asked that they facilitate for me to get I got a printer and a computer.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's how my small business in campus started. So I'll print for people and scan for people. And also, type for people. So I used to do a lot of secretarial, and I used to do also a lot of research for other people. Yeah, that's how I started surviving. And that's also because of my background in reading a lot. I found that there were some people who might not want to read a lot, so I'll sit with them to coach them in certain areas. You have to pay me. So that's how it was.
That's business.
It's business. So that's how I used to survive at UNZA. But it was good in itself because I learned a lot also from other people. So that was about my...
An interesting topic it is. I'm now wondering, and you did mention about you signing for a loan at UNZA, and then it started.
Yeah.
So I want to find out, are you one of the people that are still paying the loans, or... I believe some time back, some people complaining about paying back the loans. You still have to pay back. Some of us don't have to do jobs and whatnot. Are you one of the people that are still paying back the loans?
Yeah, so the issue of paying back the loans, it was contentious because the understanding from our cohort at that point was it was still a bursary, but later on it was made clear. Even we're going back into the archives to see that indeed we signed for a loan. So but I'm happy to say that I managed to pay off the loan. So I don't have any, but I do think it's also a way to support others the same way I was supported.
You're right.
Because I come from a background where I was poor, and through the government, through those loans, I was assisted. So I do think it's a noble cause.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What happened when you left UNZA?
So when I left UNZA, I was, when I finished just in 2008, in March, I got an opportunity to join a company, a human resource consulting firm called Bitmas Human Resource Consultants. So what happened was the owner of this company, Mr. Nyatando, he was actually our patron. So we used to work together when I was in an association at the university for public association students. So he used to be our patron, and from time to time we work with him. So when we finished, he gave a number of us actually an opportunity to join him and just do some training. So that's how my journey in human resource actually started in 2008. At the time that I was working with him, Mr. Natando is actually the father to Chaka. You know him as Pompey, so that's the name he's known for. So when Pompey was leaving to go to South Africa now to do his studies in IT and other things, I ended up becoming now the new son to Mr. Natando. So he's my father like that, and he started grooming me, and I was working with him in consultants. So basically during that time it was in HR consultants, you basically go into different companies. So it was at that time I was exposed a lot to how different companies operate in Zambia, because we Bitmas Human Resource Consultants had a lot of clients, and so you have government institutions, private NGOs, and you have to work on them, their organization structures, their systems, do the trainings, do recruitments. So that's the work that I was doing, and yeah, it was actually very fulfilling. Within a short period of time, I ended up being exposed to so much and knowing so much about different companies in Zambia through the consultants that I was undertaking during that time.
Now, Mr. Kabanda, what about the issue of neuropsychology? In your title, how did it come about? Because from your explanation and what you studied at the University of Zambia, I'm now wondering how the neuropsychology came in.
Yeah, this issue, I know it's been, some people always ask, really, what is this about? So, remember I said that during my first degree, my bachelor's degree, I was studying public administration with psychology. And I had a lot of interest actually in psychology, and Professor Sepo actually noticed that. And also the other lecturers in the Department of Psychology, I really worked very well. They used to help me a lot. And I had a lot of interest in psychology. So when opportunities came for a master's, they were looking for 10 students to do psychology, neuropsychology. So neuropsychology basically is a study of the human brain. You are looking at how the brain affects everything that you really do, your movements, your decision making, how your moods, your personality, everything. And so the program itself was a combination of medicine and psychology. So we had colleagues from medicine in the program. So that program was sponsored by the Norwegian government. So that master's was also for 3 years, from 2009 to 2011. So I would actually like to even say hi to my colleagues, Dr. Kani, Mr. Happy Zuru, Dr. Oluvita, and so many other colleagues that I had. We were 10 in the group, of course, when we were finishing 9. The program itself exposed me now to the area of mental health and everything that we have to look at in terms of how do people make decisions and how do people behave. So it was a beautiful program. So that's how the neuropsychology came about. So it was a very tough course actually, because at first for us who started from psychology, when we were looking at the parts that deal with psychology, it was an easy thing. The colleagues from medicine, they were also struggling. When we went to do the medicine part, we were at actually Ridgeway. It was also very tough, because now trying to learn medicine, that part component of medicine in that short period of time. So it was also very tough for us. But I was happy to have these colleagues, Lumbuka and the others. They used to help us a lot, and that's how we managed to do the neuropsychology program. That's where that title comes from.
Amazing. I'm now wondering, so how do your studies in public administration, psychology and neuropsychology help you in your work, and what could be your encouragement be for young professionals?
Yeah, so when you look at these studies, at the public administration, you're focusing on institutions of government or public institutions, how they run. you're basically looking at organizations. How do organizations run? There's human resource. How do you manage employees and so on? So that component helps me a lot, especially when I'm dealing with various companies, because it helps you to have an understanding. But again, I must make mention that those are basic things. When you finish school, you still need to read a lot. So now, in these institutions that we're talking about, they are run by individuals, the people, and that's where now that component of psychology actually comes in, because unlike the engineers who will be dealing with machines and maybe these data analysts who are dealing with things that don't have feelings, definitely if you are in the area of human resource or you're a manager, you're a supervisor, you need to understand psychology, because you're dealing with people and you need to understand how each individual is different from another person, and even how the very same individual will be different in different circumstances. So that is where the psychology really comes in, and it's a huge component that helps me a lot in my work. And I must also mention, and I've in the works that we do, the mentorship that we hold with some of the HR practitioners, one of the things I emphasize is that you need to understand we have a model that we use. It focuses on three things, okay? So you have to understand the law, because with the law, and I'm saying this also to HR practitioners, young ones, or even older ones, or females, when you understand the law, it starts to help you to really know what you need to be saying to the employers, meaning management, and to the employees. So this component of the law becomes extremely important. Then apart from the law, we can talk about business. On the business side of this model, we are saying, understand the business that you're in. Whatever company an HR person joins, for instance, they need to know what are the systems, what are the processes in this company, which sector are we in, because each sector might have its own way of doing things. So understand the business. Once you have a clear understanding of the business and what your business is all about, is it an NGO, is it profit making, is it a government institution, you need to understand the business of your employer. Then the third component now is the psychology, is the people aspect. That is where the psychology comes in. All these things, the law, the business, they will not work on their own, but there is a component of people, and you need to understand how a human being behaves, what makes them to be motivated. You can talk about all the money you want, but if you can't create an environment in which the employee thrives, they will basically report, there's what we call presentism. The guy is very religious, comes very early in the morning, but they are not doing anything. They are not productive. So the aspect of psychology becomes very important. So this is, for me, it's an encouragement to HR practitioners: understand the law, understand the business, and understand psychology, or understand people. Then once you have those things, you're good to go.
Amazing. So what would you say was good about the work you did at Bitmas, a private company, compared to landing a job in a big corporation or maybe government? And how can that help other professionals?
I must mention that if you finish your college or university, at that point there is a lot of desire to join government, because you're thinking of, driving big cars and big offices, having big offices and all those kind of things. But truth of the matter is, it's not everybody who end up in those kind of positions. So I must make mention that one has to be humble enough to join any institution, any company that gives them that opportunity, and apply themselves in that area, because you never know what you learn in that small company or big company, and how that could help you in future. So when I was at Bitmas, I joined them in 2008, as I said. Now, during that period, there was a lot of learning that I had to do, including basic things like printing and, binding, as an example. I remember Mr. Kakoma, may so rest in peace, he used to tease us, hey, I graduate, kuchita binding. And at some point, I would look at that man and say, you just do it. If you are graduate, then he would just say, hey, he used to be a very jovial man. But also, one of the emphasis was we needed to learn all the basics. Now you can imagine those things that were happening that time. Now I work, even in my current work, sometimes we do print big volumes of reports, and from that knowledge, I can still apply that. But that is just one way. The major thing that I learned at Bitmas was as a consultant, on aspects of systems, processes, organization structures. There, I can be sleeping. You can ask about anything. We'll tell you. We know the principles. We know how to create systems. If you give us a company, this is a company. What we're trying to achieve is this. There will be no problem. So, while joining Bitmas, it appeared at that point like, why are you going to this place? And I remember even having very serious conversations even with my parents. And I didn't blame them because they were government workers, they were teachers. So the only thing that we knew as at that time was really to land a government job. And that was a desire. And even at some point myself, I would sit down and I'm like, am I not making a wrong decision here? But as you go on, you start realizing, wait a minute, I'm actually learning way more. And even now, I know that even when we sit and have conversations with colleagues, I can tell, okay, I appreciate the background that I had, because it gives an opportunity to learn certain things that other people might not learn if you maybe just join the bigger company. But whatever happens in life, whether you have an opportunity to join a big company or a small company, I think it's just really being humble enough to try and learn as much as you can in that company.
So when did you leave Bitmas, and where did you go from there?
Bitmas, I left Bitmas at the end of 2010. So apparently I got married to somebody there. So we can't work in the same place. So so I left, and I went to Minwood Finance. It's a local microfinance institution. So at Minwood Finance, I was in the HR department, and we had about 7 branches then. And what I basically used to do was to really focus on now, because when I joined them, I found that they didn't have certain things in place. So I started working on creating the manuals for the HR policies, and also starting to do the training for staff, training the managers, and just really focusing on making sure that we had a good environment, also focusing on performance management. I remember Mr. Daka, Mr. Kangwand, our CEO, it used to be fun. And now I think they have a new CEO. During that time, for me, it was using the knowledge that also I had from consultants to help this new company that I joined, to make sure that they have everything in place in terms of the systems and all the processes.
So what would you say were your successes at Minwood Finance before you left?
My successes basically were really putting in place the HR policies and procedure manual, training every manager and every employee to start following those things. Because I always believe that you need to create an environment where people know what is expected of them, but also what they can expect from the employer. When you create an environment where people know everything, then you create a better environment so that there's no confusion. So we had policies and procedures in place. As I mentioned, also spent a lot of time in training, and people basically were happy. Yeah.
When you left Minwood Finance, where did you go next?
So Minwood, in early 2012, I think that was about February, I left Minwood. I went to another microfinance. Now, so Minwood was a local microfinance company. Then I went to Entrepreneurs Financial Center, which was, at that time, it was being run by the Canadians under DID. So that switch for me was basically to try and also learn a little bit more on how other companies are run, in terms of those companies that are not run by Zambians. And it was also a very fulfilling experience.
So what would you say were your successes at EFC as well before you left?
Yeah, so at EFC, the key issue was really, I think it was a switch in terms of business analysis and from the HR side of things. I remember I'm coming from a social science background, and we write a lot. So I remember my CEO, he looks at me and he says, "What is this report?" So my report was, I remember it was 10 pages, my monthly and quarterly report. Then he just says, "Go reduce this to half a page, maximum 1 page." And I'm looking at the man, I'm like, "What do you mean?" Like, it just says, "Go change this." So all that you wanted was really just numbers. And that was for me the beginning of looking at HR as really a serious business. I was coming from consultants where we're looking at system structures and all those things, but to be now doing the HR work, because now I'm an HR manager in EFC, I need to now consolidate and make the numbers make sense. So I started doing a lot of business analysis in HR and making sure that what we are reporting, the ratios around staffing, the ratios around productivity. It was actually a very interesting thing. It was moving out from traditional HR work, but also at the same time we looked at, I worked on the structures, the policies, cleaning them up. Then a lot of investment in training also for the managers, because we used to have a challenge. I found when I joined them, they had some serious challenges around staff leaving. So we needed to stabilize the ship. So I spent a lot of time training the managers and training the staff also. But also I introduced a program called Management Training Program. So this was to allow fresh graduates, those with diplomas and degrees, to basically join the company. So it was a great thing. At first, some people were skeptical. Hey, these people, they don't have experience. I don't believe in that. I believe if someone has the right attitude, they have the papers and they have the right attitude, then they should be able to do the work. And some of those colleagues that I had that time, yeah, a number of them are already managers. And amazing. For me, when they call me, it's a great feeling. We also, for the people that were already in the company, those who needed to upgrade their papers, remember after you do your analysis, you find that maybe in a particular position, somebody has to have maybe a particular qualification and they didn't have it. Instead of firing those people, what we did was then I spoke with the CEO and management until we got a school sponsorship program. It was a wonderful thing for me because it was not there. And we started now sponsoring employees to go to school. Of course, they'll sign some commitments to continue working with the company for a particular period. And so a lot of people responded to that, and it was very nice. EFC was actually a place where we did a lot of things. The staff turnover rate went down. As I said, we did a lot of training and just making the environment to be a beautiful environment. Of course, focusing on productivity, and we had a performance management system in place. Quarterly incentives were there also. If you perform every quarter, you get your incentive. And people are making good use of that money. That is one thing I was very proud of the staff. So that was really what was exciting about EFC. All I'm saying is, and this is to all the professionals, really you have to reinvent yourself and not just say this is the way I do things. And look at what problems an institution has which you need to sort out.
So when and why did you leave EFC and where did you go from there?
Yeah, so 2015 I left. Yeah, I know people say you change jobs.
exactly where I was going actually.
Yeah, in those days I had my own philosophy that I spent 3 years in a company, I should leave. Yeah.
Why?
First 2 years I should implement my ideas. Last 1 year is to see that those things are working. Beyond that, you don't need me. Okay. Probably somebody else can continue running. Wow. That was my philosophy then. Yeah, now we are old. Yeah, so 2015 I joined Motor Angel. So remember, I'm from consultants and into banking and finance sector. So my long-term plan is to still go back into consultants. So one area that I needed to get the practical experience in was construction, because it's a very unique space. So yeah, I joined Motor Angel. Motor Angel was actually one of the top 100 largest construction companies in the world. So they had a project in Zambia, rehabilitation of the Great East Road from Luangwa Bridge all the way to Chipata until the border of Malawi. So I was there with from 2015 to 2018.
Wow, amazing. So what would you say were some of your successes when you were with Mother Angel before you left?
Yeah, Mother Angel was also a stretch because when I joined, coming from a finance sector where you have policies and procedures and you are being supervised by the Bank of Zambia, and now you are into construction, and that place also had its own challenges. First of all, I had the over project that we have been given for that subsidiary. Sometimes it's about doing structures for revision of structures for these companies. And so I've been to Kawambwa is one of those companies where we worked on creating structures. We've done the works also in the Copper Belt with some of the companies that are under the group. Then we also have the new companies that are created. Those ones I basically start with creating the organization structures, conditions of service, doing recruitment for those new companies that are being created under ITC.
You indeed have a great career, Mr. Kabanda, must make mention, and you are a busy person, must say as well. Yet we see you being dedicated, always on Sunday here on Labor Matters, educating us on issues to do with employment. Now, what motivates you, Mr. Kabanda, to do this, and how do you even manage to put things, you're here on Labor Matters, you still have other things to take care of. There is family that needs your attention. How do you manage to put things in order?
Yeah, it's about having a plan around how you spend your time and making that time to be spent in a quality manner. I don't believe in quantity. You can be with somebody for the longest period, but if there's no quality in your interaction, then it doesn't mean anything. So for me, it's about any time that I have for family, that one will be spent focusing on quality of that time being spent. And also, really for me, the motivation is sharing these ideas, because I do think that it does help our colleagues who might be starting. Remember, in the universities and colleges, they are teaching you all these things, but it's very theoretical. When we come, and this is a feedback we receive from a lot of even the HR practitioners and even just other people when we talk about the various aspects of careers, because then through these interactions we are helping some other people to find a way to navigate the corporate world.
Mr. Kabanda, there are some businesses and companies, maybe even institutions that may want to work with you in anywhere or other, or to benefit from your wealth of experience. Could you accept to even have maybe board members of a company if they were to approach you?
Yeah, definitely, it's not a problem. I'm sitting on certain boards, so if a company came, there's no problem. The only issue is just for me to look at my commitments, just making sure, because as I said, I always want to focus on quality rather than quantity. It's not a matter of being in 1,000 boards, but you should be in the boards where you actually make an impact. So yeah.
Let's talk about job seekers and employees, HR practitioners and managers who may want to be trained or mentored by you to sharpen their skills. Do you conduct workshops or maybe mentorship classes?
Yeah, so we have, for those who have been contacting us, we do create groups where we are doing mentorship programs depending on the needs of the mentees. So through these programs, then we are walking them through the specific challenges that they have to ensure that they sharpen their skills. For me, really, the more people become better, I do believe it's beneficial for everybody and for all institutions. Yeah, so we have those mentorship programs.
What about students? Talk about students as well. They might feel left out somehow. Who may want...
I believe, number one, is that you remain focused. Now, when I talk about focus, it's a huge job. It's a big word. The key thing is choose, think about your long-term plans. What do you really want to become? What do you want to do? And then start aligning so that everything you're doing now are being aligned to the very things that you want to come and do in future. You could be stuck in your career now. Yeah, instead of thinking of it like you're getting stuck, maybe look at what skills and knowledge can you acquire in your current job as you prepare for the jobs that you want to come and get in future. And then work on your CVs, work on your interview skills. Also, for if you are looking for a particular job and it doesn't come, maybe look for another job if possible. But also, if you can't find a job, I always say try business. I know it is very difficult to do business, but you are also, once you start learning something and you can grow from there. Who knows, maybe you are the one who's supposed to be an employer for other people. Yeah.
You're right. Maybe we can read some text messages that we've received from our viewers.
Okay.
So the first one reads, "Hello, my name is Benson. I want to ask Mr. Owen if they can educate our Zambian HRs on the labor laws and the requirements of our country, because the less knowledgeable employees are being unfairly treated even with the presence of an HR."
Yeah, really, it's sad because sometimes if the HR does not take the initiative to actually inform employees about their rights, then there could be likelihood of abuse or things of that nature. What is key, and I keep on emphasizing this to HR practitioners, work on, first of all, your internal documents and policies, have those things in place, and then do the training for the managers to understand. Everybody who is supervising anybody should know what is required of them, and then also you sit down with employees and make them also understand, so that they know what their rights and obligations. I always talk about two things, rights and obligations. And if you can't do the training yourself as an HR person, bring on consultants to come and help you, because again, some people want to do everything. If you can't do it, bring somebody else to help. Once employees and the managers understand what is required, then you have less and less problems in the company.
Amazing. This one reads, "Good afternoon. I'm having issues with my job at ZNS. I was discharged without a discharge letter due to illness during my training. So how do you help me as labor matters name withheld?"
Yeah, so for such, those are cases we can discuss away from the program.
All right. And then this one, "Enjoying the show. What should I type? I mean, on Facebook page." I don't know if this person wants to find out KBN TV Facebook page or your page, Mr. Kabanda. I believe you will respond to this as you give us your last remarks.
Yeah, so really for me, it's an encouragement to everyone that in life you may have a certain life, a challenge, background, whatever it is, just keep on believing, and also don't compare yourself too much to other people, because sometimes that robs you of the happiness. Be proud of what you have been able to do at the level you have achieved. Yeah, for those that would want to continue having conversations with us, yes, you can just type in Google Owen Katongo Kabanda. You find it on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and then we can continue chatting, or even using the number that is on the screen.
Amazing, Mr. Wanda. Thank you very much for letting us into your life today, getting to learn more and just getting to find out who Mr. Owen Katongo Kabanda is. Thank you very much for sharing your story on labor matters.
I greatly appreciate it.
Looking forward to another interesting conversation next week.
Thank you.
Amazing. To our viewers, thank you very much for watching Labor Matters right here on KBN TV. If you've just joined us, please do go on our Facebook page, which is KBN TV. This segment was recorded and you will find it right on our